Holy shit. Hello interwebs and welcome to my review of The Mandalorian Season 2 finale, Chapter 16, The Rescue. And please, if you have not seen this episode, I am diving right into spoilers because, oh my god, this is your last warning right here. Go watch the episode because here we go. Holy crap. I was not expecting that. Normally I do this chronologically, but we are going to have to talk about that ending because I was not expecting that appearance by that legacy character that I thought we would never get to see again in all of their glory. Of course, I am talking about R2-D2, everybody. Oh my gosh, seeing R2-D2 was just amazing in this episode. Okay, of course, we all know I am freaking out over Luke Skywalker, played by Mark Hamill himself in this episode. Holy freaking crap. I was not expecting that. I was thinking maybe we would be seeing Ezra appear in this episode because we knew there was going to be some sort of Jedi coming into this. I thought we were going to see Ezra from Star Wars Rebels in this, but obviously they're saving him probably for the Ahsoka series, considering that Ahsoka's going to be going after Thrawn and Ezra's with Thrawn. So I was kind of like, well, who would it be? I mean, maybe the guy from Jedi Fallen Order. We're not going to see Luke of all people, but no. They full out Rogue One'd him and youthified Mark Hamill's face and did that plasticky weird thing that always kind of weirds me out a little bit. But at least there's precedent within Star Wars here to bring back Luke Skywalker. I'm going to talk about the rest of this episode, but I have to talk about this up front. I'll save my predictions for next season at the end of this video. And I just got to gush about this. The way they introduced Luke Skywalker with him just coming in and just casually ripping to shreds all of those Dark Troopers. And we knew who it was. They're just building up the anticipation to, are we going to actually see his face? Is this actually who I think it is? And he's just ripping them apart. It's just kind of casual. Like he's kicking butt, but it's just so pfft, whatever. And that is the Luke Skywalker we have always wanted to see post Return of the Jedi. Now, it's not on the level of his appearance in The Last Jedi. That final battle with Kylo Ren was probably the end-all, be-all Luke Skywalker battle. That one was amazing. But here it was just him in the top of his prowess, and they filmed it perfectly. The build-up was perfectly. And then when he took off his face, and yes, the plasticky thing does weird me out. I have never liked the plasticky, youth look that they did with, Leia and Moff Tarkin in Rogue One and in a few other spots here and there throughout all the Star Wars movies, Leia again in The Rise of Skywalker, and Luke himself, actually, in The Rise of Skywalker, now that I think about it. I never loved it, but if you're going to use it, I think this is probably the best use of it I've seen them do so far, where they're not hiding it. They're going full on. It's not like the little in darkness or whatever, but it doesn't linger too long on it like they did with Tarkin in Rogue One, which is always it was just too long on screen. And here it is still a little bit too long on screen, but I think just holy crap, this is just so cool just to get this payoff in this show. You think The Mandalorian would be too small potatoes for something of this magnitude to show Luke Skywalker, but it was just well done. I'm done gushing about it, but that was just, it was amazing. Between this and Star Trek Discovery giving us the thing that happened this week, because I don't want to spoil for people who may not have seen that show, but there's a lot of surprises this week for some crazy stuff coming back up that I did not expect to ever see in a Star Trek or Star Wars show. Whew, this has been a week, everybody. This has been an emotional week for this little nerd here. Hey, everybody, this is Jessie from the future. So I recorded this video on Thursday night right after that I watched the episode for the first time, but because I had my big holiday special video yesterday, I was able to sit with this episode a little bit longer than I normally do before I put out the review, and I actually got a chance to rewatch it with a friend tonight because I was so excited to show them the Luke scene. And rewatching the Luke scene, I actually had a new thought and kind of a new feeling on it, just a little bit. I kind of want to tweak my initial thoughts that I already said in this video about the Luke scene, because my problem that I have with rewatching it was so cool in the moment. I got very, very caught up in it, as you saw in my live review. But rewatching it now, I kind of felt oh, this doesn't feel like Luke as a character. And the plastic of his face doesn't really help matters, but, when there's that moment where Luke sees Baby Yoda for the first time, he sees Grogu, you feel like there should be a greater connection with him being oh, this thing looks like Yoda. this little baby Grogu looks like Yoda, this person who meant so much to me. But he just kind of stands there like this big legend. He's this larger-than-life figure, as well he should be to a degree, and there should be some veneration of him, but he doesn't feel like he's a character of the Luke that we know, that we saw through 3 movies. And even in the sequel trilogy, as much as you could say you could have problems with those movies, Mark Hamill played him in those movies like an actual person. But here he's just kind of like the statue that you come in, the action figure just that you're smashing up against your toys. And it reminds me of Patrick H. Willems, a YouTuber who I really respect, talking about the Darth Vader scene in Rogue One and how that's kind of what Disney is making Star Wars now. Just these big moments of like, oh, look at my action figure, but it's not necessarily like something real. It's just sort of like, oh, look, it's Luke. It's this big grandiose fan service moment, and it doesn't feel like it's a real moment. And it's not that this scene is bad. I just wish we had humanized Luke a little bit more, like had a moment where it's like, hey, Grogu, you remind me of someone from like make him a character, make him someone that I felt like I knew through what is essentially 5 movies, considering The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. He just doesn't feel like a real person. And I don't want to say this is as bad as the Darth Vader scene in Rogue One. I like Rogue One. But the problem with that is at the end, it just becomes all about different characters that we didn't care about throughout all of Rogue One. At least here, I like that the emotional catharsis in The Mandalorian stays with Grogu and Mando. Like, they get the moment, they get the emotional beat. We're building off of their emotions and tension. So I like that a lot more. I just think that the scene would have been a little bit better and kind of fixed a little bit of the sensibilities that Disney has that worry me a little bit if Luke had just felt more like a person, as opposed to like, hey, he's the big action figure coming in. And I'm not saying you needed to have like the most heartwarming of moments, because he is supposed to be this like standoffish guy to these people that he's never met, but just something to say he's a human rather than an action figure coming in and wrecking stuff up. So everything that I said in my initial review still stands. I just had these extra little thoughts just rewatching the episode. To go through the rest of this episode, I think it was a lot of fun. I think it was a really great sort of, Avengers Assemble a moment. I knew that this was coming. We all kind of felt it. Like, it was just getting all the characters and stuff that we built out throughout the season and bringing them all together. There's some really great moments for pretty much all of our characters. I think Carl Weathers was the only like major character that didn't get an appearance in this episode. But everything else is just built up really well. And Ming-Na Wen, sadly, was not utilized to her fullest, but I like that she was at least a presence here throughout the episode. But everything else was just great. The opening scene with them sort of grabbing the clone scientist, really well done. I like the sort of like remembrance of like what the Empire sees the rebels as like terrorists, and reminder of Alderaan and the scars and trauma of Alderaan on Gina Carano's character. That guy who held the clone guy hostage, the scientist hostage, dumbest dude in the world though. Like, come on, you really want to antagonize the people who have guns pointed at you? Like, I don't even know what your expectation was. Like, there's no way you were getting out of that. Like, you should have made a deal instead of just antagonizing the person who has a blaster aimed at your face and has every reason to want to kill you. Like, the dude was dumb. It was a nice scene, but that guy was just stupid. Let's just make that very clear. I liked the going to get Bo-Katan. I love my girl Cara Thrace, Katie Sackhoff coming back into this. We all knew she would. Again, that Avengers Assemble moment. I like the sort of standoff between the 3 types of Mandalorians here. Boba Fett being like a clone, and I like the remembrance of him being a clone being brought up here, and that people would know what he sounds and looks like. Even though he is Boba Fett, he is also a clone of Jango Fett. So I liked that remembrance there. And I liked, again, the 3 standoffs between the 3 different ideologies of Mandalorians here, between Bo-Katan, Boba Fett, and Mando himself. I thought that was a nice little reminder of, like, they're all Mandalorians in some way, shape, or form, but they all have different places that they come from. And I like that we built out that culture of the Mandalorians throughout all of Star Wars and brought it into this show. So it was really nice to see that seeding of all of that here. The actual going to like set up the heist and everything was really great. The breaking in, I thought that was really a cool moment that it gave everyone something unique to do and something I really haven't seen in Star Wars. The Boba Fett pretending to be, attacking an Empire shuttle and them sort of breaking in and just destroying and wrecking shop. All very fun, very clever, a unique sequence that kind of utilized everyone fairly well and to fairly good effect. Again, Ming-Na Wen probably getting the shortest end of the stick, whatever that phrase is in this episode. And the standoff with Mando and the Dark Trooper was absolutely wonderful. I thought it was appropriately tense. Even one of those things is just murder and just he could barely hold it off, and you just got that tenseness with like him fending off like all those those dark troopers punching through. It's like there was appropriate tension in that moment, probably one of the tensest moments of the entire episode, honestly, even considering what happens later with Moff Gideon and all that stuff. So that was really great. The fight was great, and it showed like him using all of his tricks and tools to get out of the situation. And I like that it's his lightsaber, essentially the spear, that gets him out of it, and like him using the Mandalorian weapon. I thought that was really, really great and tense sequence. Then the showdown with Moff Gideon was absolutely wonderful. I liked that Moff Gideon essentially talked him down and said, you can go. I got what I wanted, and you can take him and leave. And Mando takes it. And maybe he wouldn't have betrayed his word. We know Mando's a man of his word, and so maybe he was also playing Moff Gideon. But I like that we believe that sort of moral uncertitude with Mando in this movie. He's like, all he cares is about Baby Yoda. I would like to believe that he wouldn't betray the people that helped him, but he might. And I like that we don't get a definitive answer on that, really, because Moff Gideon cuts him down. And their battle was the big, like climax of this episode. Yes, there was the moment later on with Luke coming in, but this was really the emotional climax of this sort of threat with Moff Gideon. And I thought it was a really, really great fight sequence, and I like the sort of moral ambiguity and back and forth between the two of them, Mando coming out on top. And I like this reminder of Moff Gideon is not just a fighter. He is actually he's able to play everyone against themselves. And maybe he actually lost on purpose so that he could play everyone against each other in the bridge later on. And I liked that moment where there's that appropriate tension, because we know the story of the Darksaber. You have to take it in battle. That's sort of the Klingon way, or the Mandalorian way, as they say. And, Moff Gideon just reveling in it and just playing that chess master. Very Grand Admiral Thrawn. Yeah, Grand Admiral Thrawn-esque, and just sort of the tactician in him. I thought was really, really great. And Bo-Katan being like, I'm going to have to kill you, Mando. I liked that was set up here and not completed yet. That's still up in the air for next season, which is what I kind of want to talk about next, because the next bit is, what I've already gushed about. Luke Skywalker showing up. Thought it was wonderful. I thought it was great. I'm still not on the creepy de-aging train, but the cameo was unexpected and really wonderful and big and played exactly the right way, considering everything. So well done. But I liked also the final moment that we get with Mando and Grogu at the end here, with him taking his helmet off and just showing Grogu his face. And he didn't even care that everyone else was there. It just shows you their connection and them sort of coming together and forging that connection and saying goodbye. I thought that was a great culmination of this entire season's arc, and sort of the sort of mixing up of Mando's, black and white view of the world. I thought was kind of like a subtler way to sort of break apart that sort of light side and dark side mentality that is throughout Star Wars, that was done better than in The Last Jedi, which I think kind of didn't do it, or it didn't pay that idea off as well as it could have. I still think Rey should have joined Kylo Ren and sort of seen how that played out in Rise of Skywalker. Much better idea. Anyways, that's a different point. I like that we see Mando taking off his mask here. We see Mando taking maybe a morally negative choice and betraying people earlier on in the episode. And I think that's all just a wonderful graying of his moral center that we started seeing last episode as well with Bill Burr. And it's paid off really wonderfully here. And it's all about the connection between the two of them and how their connection can make them make different choices than they would have if they hadn't. And showing that through Mando, and sort of seeing them separate really broke my heart. It broke my heart. It was very effectively done, and I was so pleased with it. And the last note that I want to end on here is I am so intrigued now where this show is going to go and what it means for the larger sort of like Star Wars universe that we saw Disney announce just recently, with all of these TV shows expanding. We're getting the sort of like the building up of the New Republic show that I'm hoping Gina Carano not be a part of. I hope this is actually the last we see of Gina Carano in this show, mostly because of my feelings about Gina Carano. I actually like the character quite a bit, but don't care for Gina Carano, and you can do your own research on why, because I don't necessarily want to touch it here, but I would not be upset if we never see her character again. Sorry, not sorry. But I also am very, very curious about this. There's still the Darksaber hanging up in the air. What does this mean for Grogu and Mando? I mean, that is the heart of this show. That relationship is very much the heart of the show. I don't think they can do The Mandalorian without Grogu. He is very much the face of The Mandalorian. You know, not even The Mandalorian with his helmet is the face of Mandalorian. And so what does this mean going forward? How will Grogu be brought back into the show? Will he? I assume he will. But also, timeline-wise, where does this fit? Because we know from, I believe, The Last Jedi that Kylo Ren kills a lot of Luke's Padawans, I believe is how that works out, right? I might be wrong on that, but something horrible happens there with Luke Skywalker's training based around Kylo Ren. I forget exactly the specifics of what happened there. But was Grogu a part of that? Was he involved? Did he meet Kylo Ren? Are we going to see Kylo Ren at some point in the show? Will Mandalorian save Grogu from that fate, or will Grogu not be able to work with Luke Skywalker? So many questions there. Again, also the Darksaber is being paid off here. So that's sort of a setup going forward. I am just so curious to see what this means. Does this mean we'll see Luke Skywalker again next season in some way, shape, or form? I would expect probably not, or if we do, it would be in some sort of limited way. But I am very curious to see how that's all going to play out. So, yeah, looking over this whole season of The Mandalorian, looking at season 2, I had some concerns at the top of the season that I think were fairly valid and mostly coming off of my season 1 concerns, but at every step of the way, the show just got better and better and better and fixed the problems that I had with it. And so while those problems still existed towards the beginning of the season, as the show's gone on, it has been a fantastic and wonderful ride. I have thoroughly enjoyed this season. It has done everything and more than I thought this show would ever do. And so I have to hand it to them. This was a really, really great season of The Mandalorian with a few issues here and there notwithstanding. But this finale was truly excellent. And I'm in awe, and I am extremely pleased. And that scene with Luke was amazing. So I've gussed enough about the show. What do you think about it? Let me know down in the comments below. What do you think of The Mandalorian? What do you think of Luke's cameo? Were you also creeped out by the weird plasticky youth face? Let me know all of that. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Also, if you haven't seen it yet, yesterday was my big Jessie Gender holiday special with a bunch of special guests. It was truly the biggest video I've ever done on this channel, so if you have not checked that out, please go watch that video. It would mean a lot to me. It was such a fun thing to do with some really cool special guests that if you haven't seen it, I won't spoil it for you, but I was just so pleased with that. I also have a Patreon page if you want to support me there. But beyond all of that, I hope that you, as always, live long and prosper. Thank you to all of my patrons this month, but especially Amanda Ronye Idanya, Catherine Lambeth, Ashley Ellen Bokikio, Miranda Janelle, Eli Bergmoss, Ashlyn Solstice, Michael D., Greg Gillum, Stephen Kleinard, Ulysses the Pagan, Randy Thompson, Munir Amlani, Chamomile T., Stephen Schuhart, Wellington Marcus, Boyd and Mary Beth Earl, Wayne Twitchell, Ish the Mad, Buttoneer, Roar, Christina Dalliance, Dominic Noble, John Steele, Michael Beam. She sells seashells by the seashore of Bajor. William Stewart, Gavin Robinson, The Sir Spence, BBD, Hannah F., Nathan Olson, Jason Knott, Andrew Jorgensen, Chris Brown, Jasmine, Maeve, Bree Beecher, Sabraxis, Skylar Gray, Nathan Steele, Jane Packard and Chloe Dollar, Wen Dizzle-Bizzle, Gretchen Badger, Geek Filter, Bush, Celestial Dawn, Din, Sarah Bastam, Polly Mina, Jacob Tovar, Piston Twisted Garage, Lily, Jean Mithun, Andrew Lamori, Lysa, Zone 1 Librarian, Michael Hardy, Corey Honkanen, and KT Dunn. Thank you so much to all of you. You're quite literally making my dreams come true, so I cannot tell you how thankful I am.